Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time today. Been real busy here lately. We've been cooking the fool out of syrup. We are about to finish. Got a little bit left to do and it'll all be over with. We do have a little bit of chewing cane left. We almost sold all of it. There's a few stalks left in the field. If somebody don't get it in the next day or two, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it and use it too to make syrup. But you know, it's been a good week. Got a new week started here. You know, I'm in a jacket. It's been good weather. Kind of unusual for this time of year in the Deep South to stay this cool this long. We've had a pretty good run of beautiful weather here. It's hadn't been no rain. Been perfect for cooking syrup. You know, nice cool days and dry, not having to worry about the rain. I mean, it's been a little windy. That's been kind of knocking me back a little bit on when you're cooking syrup. You really don't want wind, but you know, I can't change that. But you know, we just encouraged by the fact that the Lord blessed us and we was able to get all the sugar cane in. But you know, kind of want to talk about something that I kind of pick around through different channels, and got a lot of people asking me a lot of questions about this, and I've been kind of putting it off, but I believe I'm gonna go ahead and do it today. And it's the evolution of a homestead. Been a lot of controversy over the last year and a half or 2 years of Deep South Homestead. You know, had a lot of people fuss at us, you know, which is okay. I don't mind that. Everybody has a right, has a freedom to do what they want to do. A lot of people agree with us. We're not trying to tell anybody exactly what to do and when to do it. You know, our main goal here at Deep South Homestead is to put quality information out there. Not just sit around and talk about something, but actually show doing it. Because, I mean, guys, look, anybody can sit and talk. But to actually show me the end results for what you're doing, you know, I mean, that's the whole thing with us here at Deep South Homestead. We are all about showing the process, showing the end results of what we're doing. A lot of people show doing something, they show planting something, but they never show you the actual harvest. They may show you how they can something, but they never really show you the end product, you know, and which makes you wonder, did they really do it or did it flop? And did it actually work? We're trying to go beyond that. We're trying to go to the next level. So that's what I want to talk about, is the evolution of a homestead. You know, Deep South Homestead, the property that Deep South Homestead is on is land I bought way back in the early 90s. This land was specifically bought to hunt on. That's the only reason I bought it. I had plenty of land, and I bought this particular piece because it had water on it. It had rolling hills, and it joined, you know, 7,000 acres of just vast land, and then I put food plots all around on it. You know, had put me a few little roads in it so I could get around on it. But in 2000, I decided that this is where I was going to have to live at. So I came in here on this property because you got to understand, this was virgin land. The sun never hit the ground on this property. It had big trees, and it was just all hardwoods, a few pines on it, and a wildlife haven here. You could come here any day and kill a deer. And I moved in here and cut just enough trees out to get a mobile home in here. And we got that thing set up in here, and I lived in it about 2 years. And I realized right quick, like, that's just wasn't what I wanted. You know, I was a contractor, and for a contractor to live in a mobile home just didn't seem right to me. And so I began to build a house, and I ended up cutting trees out to where, I mean, I only cut out just enough trees to get this house in here. I mean, literally, I had trees 1 foot from the house in several different places around it. As a matter of fact, there was trees through the middle of the deck and everything else on this home. And it stayed that way from 2000, and I started this house in 2003. It started this way till about 2005. Because you see, in 2005, the whole world changed here. This place was like a giant park. I mean, beautiful trees. Everything was shaded. It was like a utopia here, with a house sitting right in the middle of it. No shop, no nothing, just a house. I had one little tiny garden up by the gravel road. It was just a wildlife haven in here with a house right in the middle of it. You could sit here in the back room and watch deer on the hill, turkeys and squirrels and rabbits, and, you know, all the wildlife playing on the place here. And it was a homestead at that time because I had a garden. You know, I did not have any animals at that time. It was fenced because you see, this property, not only did I use it for hunting, I used to raise a lot of head of cattle. And during the summer months, I would run cattle on this property through the woods, and they would keep they would eat the leaves off the limbs on the trees. They had the running stream. They get water. They graze around through the woods on what little patches of grass where the sun kind of peeked on through the little places. And they eat the smilax vines. They just kept the underbrush kind of cleaned out. And but when 2005 came, Hurricane Katrina hit. And I took a good look at it. You know, I told my wife at that time, I said, you know, you better look at this. I said, this hurricane looks pretty bad. She'd never been through a hurricane before. She didn't know what to expect. And me having been through many of them, I told her, I said, well, you better look. I said, because it may not look like this when we get back here. Because we had went into town to take care of my parents at a church. And boy, was I ever right. You know, I come back and right here around my house, within a 150-foot radius of my house, I had over 300 big trees down. And then only out from that, I mean, it was just mass numbers of timber, you know, just down. I went through with a tractor and cut all the logs that I could get, what log lengths I wanted out, because I knew at some point I wanted to build me a shop. And I had all this oak hardwood timber now, and pine and poplar and all this kind of stuff. And I went through and cut 16-foot lengths and just different lengths all through it, and whatever I could get out of it to make lumber out of, and cut most of the tops up for firewood, and hired a dozer to come in and push the rest of the stumps up out of the ground where the trees had leaned over. And he cleaned it all up for me, and man, it just didn't look the same anymore, you know, because the homesteads, guys, homesteads change. And it was at that point that the birth of Bluebird Farm took place, because we noticed after the hurricane, and we got the land all cleaned up, and it wasn't nothing but just dirt. I mean, sandy dirt everywhere. There was no grass. Because there had not been any grass before. I mean, it was just timber and shade and all that, so it was just dirt. We noticed we had a heavy influx of bluebirds. They just seemed to be everywhere. And so at the time, you know, my wife and I, we named it Bluebird Farm. And we started putting in some little garden spots around in different places, because we figured, you know, we had the land now. Why not? We was raising our own food and trying to be self-sustainable at that time. we began to put up fencing. We built a shop, built a corral, got pigs, got some chickens. You know, we was on our way to being sustainable. We had a few fruit trees we put in, a couple of grapevines, and a couple of apple trees, and maybe some peach trees, and different things like that. Kind of was on a journey of self-sustainability. Didn't have much though. I'm just, we had 3 little gardens. They was only about, they're like 30 feet wide and 60 feet long. Just little gardens. They're not big enough to raise very much, but nevertheless, we did what we could in them. And we canned a lot. Really did a lot of canning. We butchered our own animals, on pigs. We had some pigs. We butchered them. We ate a lot of wildlife because I mostly spent my time deer hunting on this property up till Katrina. And after Katrina, I still killed some deer on it because they were still coming out. And, guys, a homestead evolves as time goes on. We get so many comments on the channel, I don't know what to do. I don't know when to do it. I feel like I'm left behind, and I don't feel like I'm getting enough done. And well, guys, it's 2017, and I started this thing in 2000. So it's been 17 years. A homestead don't happen overnight. After my wife passed away, I stayed a little while here and got rid of the goats that I had because I used to milk goats and sell butter and cheese and all that kind of stuff. And I sold my goats and sold my pigs, sold my chickens and everything. And as y'all seen in some of our other videos, I moved out to help take care of my parents and let the place just sit vacant here for about 2 years. And Wanda and I got married. And I was already back out here, but Wanda and I got married, and she and I began to talk. The first year we just spent the first year talking. We had a little garden up in the front, and we didn't really plant any of the other gardens. We just planted the one, and we tried to peddle a little bit of vegetables around, see if people would buy them, and that wasn't going over. Neither one of us had a job, so we really didn't know what we was going to do. So the second year we were married, we done some container garden, done a hugel bed, advanced in the gardening a little bit more. We planted some more garden spots that we wasn't planting, and we began to sell to the Mexican community. Done fairly decent. They bought a lot of food from us, but it wasn't moving us where we needed to be at. So we made some more changes on our homestead, and she and I decided, if we're gonna survive, because we were just struggling, guys. I ain't gonna lie to you. We were just barely getting by, having enough to eat. If it hadn't been for what my wife that passed away, if it hadn't been for what me and her canned, there's been a lot of times Wanda and I don't know what we would have done. But because we had so much food canned, we could eat and not have to worry about it. So Wanda and I began to talk, and we began to have a dream about this homestead here, what we was going to do and how we was going to do it. And we began to try to set it up, get it going, and we bought some chickens and started putting in fruit trees, and we've got some pigs and got them going, and it looked like everything was doing good. We was able to can lots of food. We began to start building more infrastructure. We got sheep, and we got rabbits, different things that began to help us to be more sustainable as far as meat's going. I was able to, I've been able to take a couple of deer here and there, and nothing like I used to, because now that the land's all open, the wildlife the deer don't come out anymore hardly. You hardly ever see one now. But, we had a dream, Wanda and I did. And as we began to do research about how we wanted to set this thing up, we began watching some YouTube channels, and in the watching of the YouTube channels, we realized that, wow, this homestead movement's a pretty big thing out there. I told Wanda, I said, this is what I've done my whole life, and yet it seems like that people thought it was something new, I reckon. I guess that's the easiest way I know how to put it. And I told Wanda, I said, gosh, I said, with all that I've learned over the years, I feel like I ought to start me a YouTube channel and maybe share a little bit about what I know. And so out of that, Deep South Homestead was born. And we laid Bluebird Farm to the side. Quit using that name and have gone strictly to Deep South Homestead. And as a result, we've been able to move forward with Deep South Homestead. It's been slow, nothing massive, nothing fast. We baby steps with everything because we don't have a lot of finances. But now we have a little greenhouse on the back of our shop, and we have, I think, we're up to 5 gardens now. And, we've got the rabbits still. We've got, we still got the chickens. We still got a couple of pigs. We're probably gonna down the pigs, and we might not do pigs anymore. We may start just focusing mainly on looking for the smaller Dexter breed of cattle if we can, because that seems to be the one area where we're falling behind is in meat. We do have 2 different varieties of turkeys now that we've started doing. We have the Royal Palms and the Blue Slates. We're going to try to start raising our own turkeys. Maybe sell a few, who knows how it goes. But guys, this is building a homestead is just a journey. And if somebody had told me 10 years ago or 5 years ago, if somebody told me 5 years ago that I was going to be doing a YouTube channel and I was going to be sitting here talking to thousands upon thousands of people, because we're running up on 4 million views here before long, I'd have thought that was crazy, because I was real into not being out in the opening too much, kind of laid back to myself, heavy prepper, survivalist, different things like that. Didn't really do crowds. Still don't do crowds. I don't like being in heavy crowds. I don't like congested areas, I don't like going into restaurants and places like that where I can't see everything that's going on all the time. It's just who I am. I don't like places like Walmart and big box stores and things like that. Even if I go to Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that, I try to get in and get out of that place fast as I can. But the whole point here is that a homestead, they don't happen overnight. They evolve. And because they evolve, some evolve quicker than others. It depends on how much resources you have. It depends on your finances. These people who sit back and say that you don't have to have money to run a homestead, that's not true. It takes a lot of money to put infrastructure in, because there's lots of stuff you just have to have. Now, I know our forefathers didn't have it, but if you go back and look at the infrastructure they had on their farms, how crude it was, most of it would rot over a period of time. It's like if you're going to put a fence up, don't go just cut a tree down out of the woods and put a fence post in, guys. It's hard enough to put a fence up like it is. Go ahead and get you a good treated post and cement that thing in. Do whatever it is you need to do. Put your good corner posts in and get you some good steel posts and some, here at Deep South Homestead, we do everything with concrete, steel, or treated wood. I ain't into having to redo something. I've had to redo enough stuff in my life just because I got in a hurry. And I picked some cheap something to do something. I don't never use pallets to build anything out of because they won't last. You know, a couple of years they already eat up or they rotten or something like that. You know, I don't advise that. If you're going to do something, do it right. Do it the first time. I know you may not have money. We don't have money. But I save my money and I wait and I'm patient. And I get my infrastructure in, then I go get what I want as far as an animal or whatever it is that I'm concerned with. I don't just throw some little temporary something up and go grab an animal and put it in it just because I want an animal. To me, that's foolishness. The fact that a homestead is an evolving, it's like it just evolves constantly. To say that your homestead is to its peak potential and it's all you're ever going to do, I don't see that. Because here at Deep South Homestead, my homestead is constantly evolving. I never leave it like it is. I'm constantly learning something that I'm applying to my homestead. And I do realize after periods of time that it's possible that maybe the first way I done something wasn't the best way to do it. So I go back and redo it and redesign it. I make it where it's better. It's more economical. That's just some of the things that we do here. You know, our gardens, we're constantly upgrading our gardens. We're constantly looking for new vegetables to put in our gardens. We're constantly looking for more sustainable things to put on our homestead. We're designing our permaculture here and on a larger scale. You know, like y'all have heard me say before, we want to be able to walk out our door 365 days a year and find something to eat in our yard. Now, in our climate where we live, that's possible. And we're almost there. Not quite, but we're gaining ground on it really fast. And so hopefully, you know, here at Deep South Homestead, we're going to get there pretty soon. But guys, don't be discouraged. Keep your head up. Do what you can do on your homestead. Move at a pace that is comfortable for you, but don't procrastinate. See, that's just the bottom line. So many people sit back and Danny, I just don't have any money. I can't do anything, so I'm just going to wait. Or there's this fantasy out there that you save all your money up and you pay cash for something. Now, that's a fantasy, guys. Just simply because, and I'm going to tell you why, because I fell prey to that. I was saving my money up, going to buy me something there on the homestead, more land, and land was X number of dollars per acre. And I saved for like 5 years, you know, trying to reach that goal so I could just pay cash for that piece of property. And when I got ready to, after 5 years, I talked to the people about the property, come to find out it done doubled in price. I was right back where I started. I had just enough money to make a down payment, not pay for it. And it's been 5 years and I wasted of my life I could have been putting into that property. So now I tell people, look, if you want something, just get it. Now don't overdo yourself. Don't burden yourself down financially. But when it comes to land, if you want it, you better get it when you see it. Because there's only so much land, and God ain't making no more. And it goes up in price all the time. So, there's some things you save money for, some things you don't save money for. Now, if you've got land, and you want to live in a little shed or a house, a little small tiny house, or whatever it is you want to live in, and it's debt-free, and you're saving the money to build you a house, that's wisdom there now. There's some wisdom in that. But when you're trying to save money to buy something that there's only so much of left around, and that's land, that don't work, guys. I know that may go against a lot of his grain, but the longer you wait, that's that many years, you're not on a homestead. Because look, you're going to pay for it anyway. what difference does it make if you pay a little bit of interest? At least if you pay a little bit of interest, you've already got it. If you sit back and wait for it, it may never happen. And the way I look at things, it's just like this new tractor I bought sitting out here. Wanda and I talked about that. We didn't want to go in debt, but I told her, I said, look, I'm going to go ahead and buy this tractor. If I can't pay for it, I'm going to use the attitude that whatever I did with it up until the time I couldn't pay for it, at least it's like I rented it. And I was able to get some more of my infrastructure done around here. Because you see, guys, we've used that tractor. We've cleaned up a ton of our property. We've got more stuff done in the 6 months that we've had these tractors than we did in the first 3 to 4 years. Because it's just that beneficial on a homestead. Now, we're praying that God gives us the money to continue to pay for it. But if he sees fit for not to do that, and something happens and we just can't pay for it, then we give it back to him. We don't worry about it, because we don't worry about credit here. Now, that's one thing that we just don't worry about. Because to me, it's just not that important. If God wants you to have something, you're going to be able to get it. He's going to make a way for you to get it. Now, I don't mean go out and just be stupid and just not pay for something and just destroy your credit. But I don't worry about something if I've done the best I can do. And at that point, I cannot do anything any better, and I still lose something. I hold my head up, because I'm like, you know what? I did the best I could do. And I just rented it while I had it. That's the way I look at it. But if I'm able to keep it till I pay for it, then I say, thank God. God was good to me. He blessed me. So you see, guys, homesteading is like evolution. It begins small. And as time goes on, it grows. And it gets bigger. And it gets better. And it gets more refined. Because as time goes on, you learn more about what you're doing, and you're able to tweak things, and you're able to learn from your mistakes, and you're able to make it more economical, more functional, more sustainable. It just becomes who you are, because every homestead is going to be different. Now, each homestead is going to become like its owner. However the owner thinks is how the homestead will be. If you're a very frugal person, a very OCD person like myself, everything you have is going to be immaculate. But if you have the personality that it doesn't bother you if something, if the fence rows grow up or the garden's got weeds or, stuff like that, if that stuff like that don't bother you, then that's what you'll have on your homestead. Because your homestead is a picture of who you are. If your homestead is neat and tidy and it's well kept, that says a lot about you as a person. But if you don't take care of it and you let it go, that also says a lot about you as a person. So, guys, just remember, don't get discouraged. If your homestead's not moving at the pace you want it to move at, or at the pace you see other people moving at, don't get discouraged. Figure out what your pace is. Stick to it, set your goals, and let your homestead evolve to whatever you want it to be. Don't base your homestead on somebody down the road or somebody on YouTube or wherever. YouTube's a great tool to learn a few things from, but it is not a tool to base your homestead on. Because I'm going to be honest with you, about 85% of the stuff you see on YouTube is a joke. It's not real. A lot of people out here are portraying that they're doing certain things, and they're really not. They go put a little box out there, and they tell you they're gardening and stuff like that, and that's it. They're out there after views. They're out there after, trying to make a few bucks. But guys, make your homestead real. Make it work. Because if it works, the harder your homestead works, the better you will be, and the more comfortable you will be, the more sustainable you will be. If something happens to the economy, guess what? You will just keep on rolling. It really won't affect you that bad if you set your homestead up. So, Guys, I'm gonna break it away right here, right now, because I've been on here long enough. Sometimes I can get on these rants and I can just keep going and going and going. But daylight will be here pretty soon. I hear the dogs barking in the background. People must be getting up, getting ready to go to work. So I got a lot of sugarcane to do today. I think it's gonna be the last one we do. But you guys, hold your heads up, build your homestead like you want it built, and move forward at your own pace. Let your homestead evolve the way you want it to evolve. So thank you from Deep South Homestead.